Hello everyone and welcome to my Beyond the Gates CBS Update 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Andre's past becomes more personal. Andre Richardson has spent weeks wondering when the other shoe will drop. The weird texts. The champagne is pricey. The uncomfortable sense that someone was watching him from the shadows. Every warning sign pointed to trouble. However, trouble has finally emerged. And it has a recognizable face. For weeks, Andre tried to keep his past where it belonged. In the past. Instead, the past has chased him out, grabbed him, and forced him into a reunion he clearly did not want. The most recent Beyond the Gates preview begins right after the bombshell revelation that Heather Armstrong is the lady behind the messages, gifts, and rising sense of dread that has followed Andre wherever he goes. What makes the situation so explosive isn't only Heather's homecoming. It's the fact that she doesn't seem to seek closure. She seemed to seek a second opportunity. That divergence could have far-reaching consequences. The clip begins with an unpleasant confrontation between the two former lovers. "It's good to see you," Andre says uncomfortably. The uneasiness is tough to ignore. This isn't a man gleefully reuniting with an old buddy. This is a man trying to determine how much danger he is genuinely in. Heather is knowledgeable. Details about his past, details about his life, things that could cause major difficulties if they reached the wrong ears. Heather, on the other hand, appears to be in perfect relaxation. In fact, she appears happy with the reconnection. "Now you can thank me in person," she informs him. It is a basic line, but how she says it dramatically alters the meaning. Heather hasn't apologized for mailing the champagne. She's not apologizing for her texts. She's not apologizing for getting involved in his life. Instead, she almost seems proud of it, as if all of this was part of a well-planned strategy. She seemed to know precisely what she was doing every step of the way, and maybe she did. After all, the champagne was not delivered directly to Andre. It was sent to Danny. That was not an accident. It was a decision, a very thoughtful decision. Someone made this choice because they desired attention. Someone who wanted a reaction. Someone wanted Andre to know they were back. Now that she's standing face to face with him, the game has changed totally. The preview shows them standing very close together, close enough to make viewers uneasy. Andre became noticeably concerned as they got closer, and close enough to indicate Heather has no intention of respecting limits. For Andre, this is a terrible scenario, because every second he spends with Heather raises the possibility that someone will witness them. Someone will ask inquiries. Someone will start connecting the dots. The secret becomes more difficult to keep with each passing moment. The main issue is not simply what happened between Andre and Heather years ago. The main issue is what might happen today. Heather does not appear to be interested in staying in the past. She looks to be interested in being a part of Andre's future. And this is where things get really risky. Particularly given the current situation of Andre's marriage. His relationship with Danny has already had its share of troubles, communication issues, trust concerns, emotional remoteness. Neither of them is likely to describe things as perfect. That's precisely what makes Heather's timing so concerning. When relationships are strained, people tend to become susceptible. Old emotions become seductive. Old memories are reassuring. Old mistakes now appear less like mistakes. It's unclear whether Andre would ever breach that threshold. However, Heather appears to be willing to push the boundaries. And the longer they spend together, the more complex the scenario becomes. Meanwhile, on Fairmont Crest, another plot takes an unexpected emotional turn. Naomi Hamilton has been carrying the weight of her father's health crisis for several weeks. Even when she attempts to remain strong, the pressure never really subsides. Every update on Bill's status has emotional implications. Every setback raises additional concerns, and every uncertainty drives Naomi to confront worries she would prefer to avoid. That's why the surprise waiting for her is so meaningful. Instead, additional tension. Instead, more conflict. Instead, more awful news. Naomi is surrounded by people who merely want to remind her that she is not going through this alone. Jacob, Ashley, Grayson. The gang comes together to create a cheerful environment that Naomi sorely needs. The preview starts with an eager surprise. And for a small while, some of the heavy tension in Naomi's life begins to subside. The celebration may appear insignificant in comparison to some of the major dramas taking place in Fairmont Crest, but emotionally, it could be just what Naomi needs, because individuals can only withstand so much pressure before breaking. Sometimes the most crucial events don't involve dramatic confrontations. They can serve as a reminder that there is still support available. The sight of everyone raising their cups and shouting, "Salud!" is one of the few true pleasant moments in an otherwise stressful and anxious week. Unfortunately, not every meeting runs this nicely. Chelsea and Kat, on the other hand, are presenting a fresh idea to what may be the most difficult audience possible, Anita Dupree, and things don't exactly go as planned. Chelsea and Kat appear to be really excited at first, confident, even optimistic. They plainly believe they have created something worthy of celebration, something brazen, something noteworthy, something that could have a significant influence. Then comes the reveal. "We want to call it the Nikki," Kat explains thoughtfully. The reaction is immediate and completely priceless. Anita doesn't seem impressed. She does not appear intrigued. She doesn't even appear curious. Instead, she appears horrified. "Child, are you trying to get disowned?" One sentence. A single awful sentence, and then all of Chelsea and Kat's confidence vanishes. The reaction quickly indicates a serious flaw in their proposal. The name itself contains emotional connotations, particularly within this family. Nikki isn't simply some random name. Nicole is well known for this moniker, and given the convoluted history of Nicole, Leslie, and the rest of the Dupree family, Anita sees potential trouble, a lot of problems. The scene accurately shows why Anita is such a strong force in the family. She does not merely respond to ideas. She assesses the ramifications, and according to her, Chelsea and Kat may be unknowingly entering perilous terrain. The question now is whether they will listen to her warning, or whether they will proceed regardless. Because younger generations frequently perceive opportunity where older generations see tragedy, and that difference in perception frequently leads to confrontation. As these storylines unfold concurrently, one thing becomes abundantly obvious. Nobody in Fairmont Crest is expecting an easy week. Andre is dangerously close to a lady who could demolish everything he has accomplished. Naomi is attempting to navigate huge emotional burden while relying on people closest to her. Chelsea and Kat are learning that bold ideas do not always garner enthusiastic support. Underneath it all, tensions between Bill, Danny, and the Dupree family are silently rising. However, one storyline stands out from the rest, because while Naomi's party may finish with smiles and Kat's pitch may conclude with criticism, Andre's reconnection with Heather is taking a darker turn. Heather did not spend weeks chasing down Andre only to exchange pleasantries. She did not send gifts simply to say hello. She didn't just happen to end up in Danny's orbit. The real question isn't why Heather returned. The real question is, what is she going to do now that she's here? And Andre's expression indicates that he is afraid since he already knows the answer. Just as Heather closes the gap between them and makes it plain she's not leaving, Andre understands that whatever secret they have may be about to conflict with his marriage to Danny. Andre's difficulties do not get any smaller as he walks away from Heather. They become bigger, much larger, because the gathering only addresses one question. Heather is back. All other questions remain unanswered. Why did she actually return? What exactly does she want from him? How much does she know? And, most crucially, how far is she willing to go to acquire what she came for? Those questions follow Andre long after the session is ended. In fact, they start consuming him. The difficulty with unexpected reunions is that they push people to confront aspects of themselves that they thought were lost forever. Andre has spent years creating a life that is radically different from the one he formerly had with Heather. He became a husband, created a future. I established obligations, made commitments. Heather's appearance jeopardizes all of this, and she represents something significant. Not just one person, a version of Andre that no longer matches his current lifestyle. Nonetheless, that version is certainly still present somewhere beneath the surface. Heather would not wield such power over him otherwise. The danger isn't only exposure. The danger is emotional confusion, because many people believe that the greatest threat to a marriage is another person. Uncertainty can be a significant threat at times. Uncertainty about your previous identity. Uncertainty about what you desired. Uncertainty over whether some aspects of your past were ever fully settled. Heather's reappearance compels Andre to face all of his questions at once, and the longer he avoids answering them, the more power the circumstance has over him. The most alarming aspect is Heather's apparent ease in taking her time. She doesn't appear rushed. She does not appear desperate. She doesn't appear concerned that Andre will reject her presence. That confidence indicates that she believes she has leverage. It's unclear whether that leverage is emotional, personal, or even more harmful. However, people do not return so boldly unless they believe they have a chance of success. Andre quickly recognizes this. This is why his anxiousness continues to rise, because each subsequent interaction now contains a hidden threat. Not only what Heather may do, but what she may reveal. Meanwhile, while Andre grapples with the reappearance of his past, Naomi finds herself going through something she dearly needed: relief. Not complete relief, not permanent relief, but enough to remind her that life isn't all about worry. The surprise party prepared by Jacob, Ashley, and Grayson proves to be more significant than anyone thinks. At first appearance, it appears to be a simple gathering, an opportunity to laugh, an opportunity to celebrate, an opportunity to escape reality for a few hours. However, emotionally, it serves a far greater purpose. Naomi has been functioning in survival mode for some weeks. Every day has been filled with concern for Bill. Every talk has included worry. Every decision was impacted by uncertainty. People who are under that kind of pressure frequently overlook something crucial. They forget how exhausting it is. Naomi is forced to take a break from carrying the weight due to the surprise celebration. And once she does, the emotional impact is clear. For the first time in a long time, she isn't required to be the strongest. She does not need to solve difficulties. She does not have to handle a crisis. She simply enjoys being among people that care about her. Those are the moments that matter, especially since bigger challenges are still ahead. The celebration may not fix Naomi's troubles, but it provides her with something as significant: strength. She will most likely require strength before this plot concludes. Elsewhere, Chelsea and Kat immediately realize that Anita's behavior was not a joke. It was a warning. The more they ponder about the pitch meeting, the more Anita's anxieties emerge. At first, the concept of naming anything the Nikki certainly sounded brilliant. Catchy, marketable, a homage. However, Anita recognized issues that Chelsea and Kat either overlooked or ignored. Names have history, particularly within families, particularly within this family. When ancient wounds and intricate relationships enter the picture, what appears innocent on the surface can quickly become much more complex. That is exactly what Anita recognized. Chelsea and Kat find themselves in an awkward situation as a result of the talk. Are they still devoted to their initial vision? Or do they recognize that Anita may have a point? Neither choice seems terribly tempting. Changing course feels like capitulation. Ignoring Anita seems hazardous. The conflict becomes more about perception than branding. The younger generation sees opportunities. The older generation sees the effects, and both sides believe they are correct. That's what makes the disagreement so intriguing. There may not be an obvious villain. People looking at the same issue via entirely different views. Back in Andre's reality, however, compromise appears unattainable. Because Heather's presence continues to produce difficulties faster than he can address them. The main concern is confidentiality. The longer Andre hides Heather from Danny, the more dangerous the truth gets. At first, quiet seems sensible. This is a temporary remedy, a strategy to prevent unnecessary drama until he figures out what's going on. However, temporary secrets often become permanent ones, and permanent secrets rarely remain hidden indefinitely. That's the trap Andre falls into. Every day he waits, honesty becomes more difficult. Every conversation he avoids adds risk. Each opportunity to tell the truth becomes more difficult to accept. Before long, the secret becomes more devastating than the original circumstance, and Andre is fully aware of this. The question is whether he will intervene before it is too late. Unfortunately, time might not be on his side, because Heather has already exhibited an important feature: persistence. She tracked him down. She inserted herself into Danny's orbit, created opportunities for contact. They eventually forced a face-to-face meeting. Those are hardly the actions of someone who quits easily. If anything, they imply Heather is just getting started. That knowledge alters the entire storyline. Initially, Andre thought he was dealing with a surprise reunion. Now he wonders if he's dealing with a campaign, an intentional effort to reintegrate into his life. If this is accurate, the situation becomes exponentially more perilous, because a single, unexpected encounter can be managed, and continuing pursuit is something quite different. Meanwhile, another dramatic tale is quietly getting along. The chat between Bill and Danny refuses to end. No matter how many times people try to move on, the subject continues coming back. partly because Bill continues to play a significant role in so many people's lives, partly because Danny's bond to him is tough to ignore, and partially because people like Vernon continue to raise challenging concerns, questions without easy answers. The most significant effect of those questions is not immediate confrontation. It's a reflection. People start thinking, reevaluating, seeing things from a new perspective. And once the process begins, perspectives can shift swiftly. What appeared evident yesterday is suddenly doubtful today. That uncertainty may become more crucial as future events unfold. By the conclusion of the week, practically every important character has reached a decision point. Naomi has been reminded that she does not have to bear every hardship alone. Chelsea and Kat are forced to contemplate repercussions they did not fully expect. The Duprees remain genuinely anxious about Danny's future. Andre is dealing with a dilemma that is becoming increasingly dangerous with each passing day. But of all these stories, Andre's remains the most combustible. Because, unlike the others, his problem is not purely emotional. It is hidden. Hidden problems can detonate unexpectedly. Heather's reappearance has already altered the course of his life. The only issue now is how much destruction will occur. Because Heather did not return only to be forgotten. She did not return to stay in the shadows. And she surely did not return to watch from a distance. She returned for a cause. Andre understands this. Viewers understand this. Danny may eventually learn it too. When that happens, everything may change. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.